3 points. First, the calendar system kills the game's pacing. The days are way too many and the variety of activities to do are way too little for how long the school year can be. Going to Chegal Cafe to get money and charm points gets really boring and really frustrating after doing it for 20 days straight. It's kind of fun the first time, exploring the world and finding new activities for the protagonist to do, but they get very repetitive, very fast. They're not very engaging either. You just go to one place and press the X button. The only semblance of interactivity I can think of is having to juggle your persona's arcanas to get the extra social link points, maybe the Persona 5 minigames. That's it. Personally, I'd rather have the system removed altogether and go back to the old Persona game spacing, but I don't think everyone would agree with that. So the other option would be to either greatly increase the amount of activities a player can choose from, or to greatly decrease the amount of days. And the problem with the first option is that it requires actual effort, and we're stuck with a company that charges $70 for incomplete games. So let's face it is. By the way, only 4.3% of you guys are subbed. Kindly support the channel by subscribing. Thank you. Moving on. Persona is meant to be easy, and that's great, but I'd argue that we could do something for just the merciless difficulty. It's merciless after all. As for actual fixes, let's say that the game throws you 5 Jack Frosts. That's a clear Maragion spam, right? Well, I say that in Merciless, it should throw you 3 Jack Frosts and 2 Pyro Jacks instead, so that you can better juggle your SP use. And I also say those Pyro Jacks should get Evade Ice, and those Jack Frosts should get Ice and Light coverage. This would make buffs more useful, and make you use defensive options more often. Add more debuffs, more ailments. Adding a variety to the Shadow skillset can go a long way to make the games feel more challenging. Persona has also introduced those cutscene skills that are way too overpowered. Perhaps we could disable them just for Merciless? Also, the extra busted skills that you can get in Persona 5, can we drastically increase the SP cost just for Merciless or straight up remove them? These games were not designed for team-wide debilitate or team-wide charge. I can think of many other complaints. One more is a pretty forgiving system compared to the BS that can be the first turn system from SMT, especially SMT4's Merc. But I think it's fine. The main problem is that right now Merciless only offers a very dull damage multiplier. And talking about that, all those little changes I mentioned would require some sort of planning. And this is Atlas we're talking about, so I guess let's ramp that multiplier up. Now let's move to my most controversial opinion and allow me to tell you about opportunity costs and trade-offs. When you allocate time and screen time to a certain portion of the game, you're missing out on potentially using that same time for other portions of the game. And time is a pretty valuable resource when designing Persona games. God knows these games can drag for way too long. Now, hear me out. Do you think the world would suffer a great pain if Ken Amada was removed as a playable character? Or if maybe Shinjiro was just a social link? The far more important character here is Akihiko, and with the loss of his sister and having Shinjiro just as a side character, I feel like his arc could have worked just fine. And just like that, 2 characters gone, and now you can employ the time used by Ken and Shinjiro to have Akihiko interact more with other characters and enrich his own character. I don't think much would have changed. Nyx is all defeated, neither Ken nor Shinjiro play a big role there. The original Cis team messed up by killing a random lady, but the guild shared by Mitsuru, Akihiko, and Shinjiro is still there. We just don't have to deal with that lady's son. You see where I'm going? For Persona 4, would the plot really change if Kanji didn't become part of the investigation team and was just rescued and left alone? Does God really need to have Yukiko be a party member? They don't really help progress the plot. Yukiko even stalls it by not remembering that very important detail about the killer. There are certain characters like Naoto, Futaba, or Aigis that are crucial to their respective plots. Obviously, they stay, but by removing the filler characters, you now have time to reinforce the interactions and bonds between the characters that actually matter. And Persona 5 is the worst offender. Haru is a poster girl of filler characters, but she gets way too much shade for this in my opinion. As for me, After I finished Persona 5, I had not thought about Yusuke once in my fucking life. His main contribution is just designing the calling card. Man, have Ryuji use AI to do the calling card for God's sake, and keep Yusuke just as a confidant. Same with Anne. After the first palace, she's only there to be sexualized. And remember, by removing them as playable characters, you can allocate time to develop the relationships between the other characters, the ones that actually do something. Let's wrap this up. Less repetitiveness for the calendar system and an enhanced merciless difficulty are easy improvements for the next Persona game. As for my last proposal, the less characters one, I know Atlus won't delete anyone from the old games, but I'd like them to make sure that for Persona 6, each playable character is actually important to the plot, so their screen time can be optimized. If you only need 4 characters for the Persona 6 plot, then so be it. Let's make sure that those 4 characters get as much interaction, screen time, and dialogues as possible, so that they can be truly memorable. I don't think adding playable characters randomly is a good idea. Look at P5. Atlas originally wanted to add Hifumi to the Phantom Thieves. Why? So she can be Haru too? I've seen fans want to have Shiho join. Why? To have Haru 3? Some characters are just fine being secondary. Anywho, thanks a lot for watching. Please consider subscribing, let me know what you think of these points, and have a nice day.